Well, hello and welcome back. Today, we're going to return to a theme that we see all the time, not only on this video series, but in spirituality in general. And that is that we have a choice. We have a choice in the present moment. A Course in Miracles is far from the only spiritual tradition that states this, and it repeats it often. Therefore, it appears to come out of my mouth often, all the time, that we have a choice. We have one single choice in the present moment between exactly two options. Not 8 billion options, not 375,222 options. Although when you go to a store, that's certainly what it looks like, isn't it? But here on the spiritual path, and ultimately, we have simply one choice, and we have the opportunity to make that every moment of every day. So, what's the choice, and what are the two options, and what's the difference between the two? So, let's look at this fundamental idea here today. We have one choice between two options. We use our mind to make that choice. So, spirituality is therefore pretty much by definition mind training. Jesus tells us in A Course in Miracles that this is a course in mind training. And we make up our minds in this one choice. We use our mind to choose between our reality as spirit and the ego. You can characterize this in a number of ways. You could see it as a choice between light and dark, between God and the ego, between the thought system of the Holy Spirit here in A Course in Miracles and the thought system of the ego, separation and pain, self with a capital S versus self with a lowercase s, i.e., the ego. You can characterize this in any number of ways. That's the choice. So, what then is the difference between the two possibilities, between the ego and our reality as spirit? That's what we're going to look at here in the next few minutes. And they're so fundamentally different that spirit doesn't recognize ego and vice versa. They don't even recognize each other. So if our two options here in the present moment, if our two possibilities for choice here in the present moment don't even recognize each other, they're not in competition with one another because they don't recognize one another. Therefore, it's our mind that is split. If you feel torn, it's the mind that's torn. So we choose one or the other. And of course, of the two, one's real, one's not. One's a complete illusion, a simple mistake that can be set aside. And that is what we're all doing in spirituality. Whether this course is your primary spiritual practice or not. This is what we're all doing, is we're setting aside our identification with the ego. So we see here, as we move on to a new section of the text, chapter 4, section 7 is where we find ourselves now, creation and communication. So we see some fundamental differences between the ego and spirit. The ego is highly specific. It labels, it categorizes, and it separates, it draws distinctions. distinctions of any kind, any gradation. And it sees everything that it makes as separate, cut off. So it looks like there are 8 billion people on this planet. It looks like there are many more animals and fish and insects on this planet. It looks like there are many more planets, all of them separate, many separate solar systems and galaxies, and beyond that, universes. It looks like there is a huge, expansive, endless multiplicity of separate units. That's the ego. And very specific, isn't it? We give this thing a name. And actually, the one that I've assigned to this thing, it appears down here in the corner, right? So very, very interesting. I mean, that's an example of the specificity of the ego. Spirit, on the other hand, our reality, as God created us, is completely abstract. It does not know any difference at all. It simply is. It doesn't recognize the ego and all of our ego illusions. So therefore, it does not do pitched battle with our ego illusions. It doesn't recognize them. Spirit simply is. Completely abstract, not specific, not individualized at all in any way. And the ego, on the other hand, is this part of our mind that we adhere to. It's not real, but we adhere to it, and it's defined by separation. With spirit, there is not even the idea of separation. There is no separation of any kind. The ego perceives everything and everyone as separate, and therefore defines and defends personal territory, which, when you allow yourself to honestly think about it, and I definitely encourage you to honestly think about it, we spend almost every minute of every day defining and defending personal territory here in the world. We look upon the human body as me, myself, and I. We think it's who we are, and we defend it against all comers. We defend our thoughts and ideas against other people in many, many ways. So when we let go of our ego identification, we begin to perceive things as they really are, which is what this course helps us to do and invites and encourages us to do. So the ego is defining and defending personal territory. Spirit doesn't react to anything separate because there is nothing that is separate. There is no separation. Spirit recognizes everything that is true and doesn't recognize anything else, the ego. So what is true? Well, our reality as spirit, one with our creator, that's true. And here in the world, the only thing that can be said to be true here in this world of illusion are, in fact, our loving thoughts, our forgiving thoughts, our extension of love, our extension of the miracle to the Son of God. That's what spirit recognizes, and nothing else. Everything that God created is true. Our reality is true. And, well, our reality is not the physical body. It's not the image that you see on your screen. That's not my reality. When you look in the mirror, that's not your reality. The reflection's not you, nor is the body that produces the reflection in the mirror. That's not you either. Quite naturally, there may be resistance to this idea at any point on the path. It doesn't matter if you've been practicing and studying this material for decades, this resistance can still come up. So if you're brand new to this thought system and these ideas, then, well, expect to get some pushback from the ego that wants you to believe that I'm completely full of it. It wants you to believe that this image on your screen is talking a bunch of nonsense. It wants you to define and defend personal territory, to see yourself as cut off and separate from your brothers and God, as right rather than happy, as correct and self-righteous in your correctness rather than joyous. I mean, that's what the ego tells us to do. It's what it would have us do. It's simply a mistake that we can set aside. So these ideas come up for question in the world all the time on what we call our journey, our spiritual journey, path, walk, name your noun, just a word. We're really not going anywhere at all. Yet here on what we call the path, we appear to be making what we deem progress, transformation, growth, so to speak. Our reality simply is, and it is perfect. We are perfect, absolutely perfect as God created us. So we actually can't grow. How can you go beyond perfection? Right? These are just terms that we use here as we learn and as we practice. So creation and communication are synonymous. Spirit communicates. God communicates to the Son of God quite naturally. It's what we do. Completely abstract, effortless, wholly joyous. This is our reality, all of us, including those people that think you're nuts for even paying attention to your spirituality. As we all know, there are people alive in the world right now that don't give a crap about the spiritual path, and they're not likely to care about it in this lifetime. So be it. So what? What matters is what you're doing and thinking right now. Really, what matters is the choice that you're making yourself in the present moment. Let other people think whatever they will. You know, they're going to anyway. Our reality is abstract and it's completely universal. This is a major reason why we can say that spirituality is universal. I don't mean religion and religions with prescribed codes of behavior and that sort of thing. No. to insist that one thought system is superior to another or better than another is a complete separation idea, isn't it? Spirituality itself is universal, it's abstract, and there are many outward manifestations of this. A Course in Miracles is simply one of them, is just one of them. As I'm fond of saying here, there are many doors, there are many approaches. Each and every one of them leads to God in the end. When will that be? Well, it's up to us in part, and it may not be in this lifetime where we wake up. But even if you don't, wouldn't you like to make what we call progress, to shorten time by extending love to your brother, by learning this course? Wouldn't you want to bring it that much closer? And who knows? Who knows when awakening will come? It really could be in the next 5 minutes. Now, is that likely for most of us? No, it's not. However, we don't know. We don't know. We have only the present moment in which to choose to use our powerful, powerful mind to choose our reality as spirit or the illusion of the ego, pain and suffering. So that's the choice, and those are the options. A couple of quick practical notes here before we wrap up. I want to come back to the idea of the ego's resistance to this. It's deeply ingrained. It doesn't mean it's strong. It's not strong. It's nothing. It's nothing. However, what is deeply ingrained is our conditioning to think that this thing that we see in the mirror, when we look in the mirror, that's 80% water and can scarcely stand the prick of a pin. This thing is our reality. That conditioning is strong. What we've been told by society dies hard. What we've been told by our biology textbooks, by our parents, by our teachers, by everyone that has had an impact and influence in our lives is that this constitutes reality. That you're an individual human being and draw any distinctions that you want, man, woman, child, middle-aged. We separate ourselves based on our height, based on our weight, based on the continent that we live on, our nationality, our ethnic group, our sexual orientation, what we do for work, what we like to drink, what we like to eat, so on and so forth. There's a label. There's so many labels. And not one of them is true. Not one single label is who we are, unless we want to call ourselves the Son of God. Our reality is actually beyond even that label. It's totally abstract. It simply is. The beauty of all of this is that this may seem a long way off. It may seem highly improbable to you. It may seem impossible, and you may be struggling to accept any of this. And if you are, welcome to the path, because each and every one of us has those moments, don't we? Yet, I want to tell you right now that even while we appear to be here as individuals, we are we're fully capable of experiencing truth. We're fully capable of catching a glimpse, or more than a glimpse, of reality, of who we really are. It's beyond words, yet it can be experienced. It can be. So, as you go forward with learning this course, as you go forward in your practice, I'm here to be a resource for you. So if you have any questions at all, please feel welcome to leave them here on YouTube. And please feel welcome also to subscribe to this channel. We're putting together an international community. People are from all over the world, which is fabulous. That's part of the beauty of modern technology here. We have tools like the internet and YouTube where we can communicate with people all over the world whom we'll likely never meet in person. So if this material is of benefit to you, please subscribe to this channel. The button is right over here. That's the red arrow. We'd love to have you join us. These videos appear several times a week. And again, comments and questions are most welcome. I'd love to hear them. Thank you for joining me, and especially for your dedication and commitment to practice. All right, I'll talk to you soon.